Good morning, second grade. How are you? Today we are focusing on our very special two holidays. One is what we call the Memorial Day in Israel, which is happening right now. The Memorial Day is for the fallen soldiers. It's a bit different than the American Memorial Day. It's more of a gloomy day. People are sad. They're inside themselves. They think about the loved one they fell in the battle. And it's a very, very sad day in Israel. A lot of people going to the cemeteries, visiting friends that have fallen during the battles, neighbors, family members. And this is what happens today. At the end of this day, at around 8 p.m. in Israel, that's how it works. The Memorial Day ends and Independence Day comes in. And Independence Day is as Independence Day as you know it. It has flags and fireworks and lots of food and parties and music and songs. So it's a very, very happy day. So we have the Memorial Day. It's always will come before Independence Day. The Memorial Day for the fallen soldiers for 24 hours, and then comes the Independence Day of Israel. I don't know if you know, Israel is a young country. It was established in 1948. So Israel is 72 years old. Let's make like compared to America. America is around 250 something years old. So it's relatively very, very young country. Israel is the same land of Israel where our ancestors, Abraham, Jacob, Isaac, have lived. And this was, at the old days, it was Canaan, and now it became Israel. This is the country where David was the king, and he ruled over the country. And David is the one who decided that the capital of Israel will be Jerusalem. By the way, till today, the capital of Israel, is Jerusalem. So Israel is a very old but new country. There's a lot of old things from the days of the Bible. You know, like if you do archaeology or excavations and things like that, you might find all kinds of old things. And of course, there's new Israel that was established at 1948 and growing bigger and bigger. Israel was established at 48 because, if you remember last week, we talked about the Holocaust, where a lot of Jews were murdered in Europe. At the end of World War II, the Holocaust ended as well. And what happened is there was a lot of Jews that had no home because it was taken by the German. Their family died during the war. They stayed alone, orphans, or had no other family to live in. And actually, they had no place in the world. So at some point, there was a decision to give the land of Israel back to the Jewish people, and it was given. It wasn't easy. It wasn't just like that. Okay, take it. There was rulers in the land of Israel before the Jewish people came. There were the British, and the British, they didn't give us the land that fast. They were thinking and thinking and thinking. But there came a man one day that decided the thinking is enough. His name was David Ben Gurion. David Ben Gurion was the first prime minister of Israel. And one night at May 5th in 1948, he decided that this is it. We're not waiting anymore. And he took the people of Israel who lived in Israel at this time, and he brought them together, and they decided to establish the land of Israel. And they did. The countries around Israel, they didn't like it at all. And the moment he said that Israel is going to be a land, they attacked Israel from everywhere. So before we get into that, I want to show you, this is more or less the land of Israel. I'm not a very good artist, but that's more or less, I'm going to add some things as we do. The land of Israel is in Asia, not in Europe, as some people will think, and not in Africa. It's in Asia. It's a bridge between Europe, which is up here in the north, and Africa, which is up here in the south, and Asia, which is up here in the east. So each continent, this is like a bridge that connects between all of them. So Israel is in Asia. Now around Israel, just so you understand, there are countries that they're not so fond of Israel. Not all of them, but most of them. And at 1948, it was all of them. It changed a bit. So first of all, let's see. On this side, where do you see the big white over here? There's no country. It's a sea. What sea is it? If somebody knows, remember. If not, it's not even an ocean. It's a sea. And it's called the Mediterranean Sea. So I will write it so you will remember. Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean Sea. I lived pretty close to the Mediterranean Sea. We don't mean pretty close. I lived on the Mediterranean Sea in a city over here. It's called Akko. I lived on the shore. Actually, my parents' house was 10 seconds from the shore. I could have seen the sea every day in the morning. I could have gone to the sea in the morning. My school was very close to the sea as well when I was in high school. So sometimes when we have no classes or we can go out and see the sea. Usually we wouldn't have swim in the middle of the school, but we went over there. So this Mediterranean Sea, it's not an ocean, so there was not big waves all the time, but it was a sea. And we went to that sea a lot of times because it was nice. Down here in the south, the southwest of Israel, there is a country you all know. Why you all know? Because we talked about it on Passover. This country is, what country did Israelis were in Passover story? Yes, you're right, Egypt. So Egypt is down here. Over here, by the way, there's another sea. It's called the Red Sea, but Egypt is over here. To the left, to the right of Israel, where you see this is this is the Jordan River, and we'll talk about those two seas in a moment. On the right over here, there's another country. You might heard about it. It's Jordan. Jordan has a border over here someplace, more or less. And above Jordan, there's another country over here, another Arab country, Syria. And at the north, what you can't see now, but there's a small patch over here, another Arab country. It's called Lebanon. It's called Lebanon. All the countries around Israel were Arab countries, and all of them didn't like the idea that 1948 were establishing a country. So they all started a war against Israel in the goal to eliminate Israel from the map. But the Jews in Israel were very fierce, and they were fighters, and they didn't want to let down Israel. They just got it. It was a great war, and it was, a lot of people died. It's called the Liberation War. Why is it called the Liberation War? Because we liberated Israel, and we took it, and we won that war, and Israel continued to exist. Because if we would have lost, there was no Israel. There were more wars during the years in Israel because the Arab didn't accept us almost never until the late years. So we had a war that's called the 6 Day War, and we had Yom Kippur War, and we had Kadesh operation. There were lots of wars during the 72 years of Israel. Nowadays, there's less war against countries. There's more terrorism that we're fighting against, but not wars against country. So this is, once again, Israel. And you see those two seas? This small one is called Kinneret. Kinneret is the place, the only lake with fresh water in Israel. The only one. So a lot of Israel's water supply comes from this lake. So Israel is very, 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 in fact, how do you say that? Very affected. Yes, that's the word. Very affected by rain. So if there's a lot of rain, this lake is getting bigger and there's a lot of water and people are happy. If not, we lose water from this lake and people are less happy. So, and there's not always a lot of rain in Israel. It's not like Ohio. It's more or less sometimes better than others. Israel is a very small country. It's the size of New Jersey or Rhode Island. It's not a big one. Ohio is like 8 times Israel, okay? Just so you'll know. Lake Erie, we can put all Israel in Lake Erie and it will disappear in the lake. So, just so you know. So this is the Kinneret, I talked about it, and this called the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is such a hard name for a sea. Why is it called the Dead Sea? No, not all of people die there, and it's not a place of death. It's just a place that is so salty that no animal lives there. So there's no fish, there's no any animal whatsoever. So that's why it's called the Dead Sea, because there are no living creature in that water because they're so salty. Actually, they are so salty that if you go over there and you lay on those water, you will float. Yes, believe it or not, you don't need a floater. You just lay down on the water, and because it's so salty, you float on the water. So this is the land of Israel. As I told you, the Arab countries around us didn't like us, and they started a war. Nowadays, it is better because we have peace agreement with Egypt and with Jordan. We still don't have a peace agreement with Syria and Lebanon, but there's no war, which is like really war. We don't go to visit them, and they're not coming to visit us. But there's no actually war. So why am I telling you all that? Because Independence Day is coming, and we are to celebrate the establishment of Israel. And Israel is a young, very improved country. So that was a bit about Israel. You will learn more on tomorrow because we're going to do a Zoom for Israel Independence Day. It will be at 12. I think at 10, sorry. I will send, today I will send it organized to you so you'll know. Another thing that I want to tell you about it, I'm going to send you 10 questions. The questions will be a picture that I will take of that. Now, I'm not sending it as a file because I don't know if you can print it or not. So if you can print it, even better, print it. But if not, just write the answer, the question number, and the letter that is the answer. That will be like very easy. It's not a hard one, but it's a one to see that you understand. Please send it back to me with the material that you need to send this Friday. I hope you enjoy that. We'll talk about it. We'll talk more tomorrow on Wednesday. Have a good day. Enjoy your work. Bye.